Hello and welcome. This is your GM in the Great Barrier, broadcasting from the center of your entertainment galaxy. We are back tonight with Star Trek Adventures Broken Sword. For those of you catching this in the archive, we hope you're enjoying the show and encourage you to give us a look on Wednesday nights Eastern Standard Time at 8 p.m. if you ever want to catch the show live. We're at twitch.tv/GM in the Great Barrier. So feel free to give us a check out and follow the channel. It helps us out here, and the link is just down in the description here. But when last we left off, the Starship Yan, or the Yan rather, had completed its mission at Galidan 2, or rather a self-appointed mission, where after having averted a very troublesome trade deal arranged by the ship's former captain, Kalvek, the crew, under its new leadership with Captain Tabak, whose player will not be joining us just this evening, but it was decided that the cargo, which turned out to be several Klingons, or rather a dozen Klingons of the Kuha variety, those uh, lacking any sort of cranial ridge, it was decided that you would bring them home to their farming colony on Glidan 2. The colony you discovered was going to be there was risk of battle basically breaking out there after a governor had complained very publicly about lax security measures and that his parent house basically wasn't doing enough to help them. Um, there was a very tricky issue trying to uncover the plot behind it, including several battles and uh, bits of intrigue. There's some suspicion on the governor himself and some on the governor's advisor. Ultimately, the crew opted to aid the um, aid the advisor and confront the governor about this. When the battle between Tabak and the governor was very nearly lost, a close-range disruptor blast from somebody who may remain nameless, wouldn't you know it, it just completely disintegrated the governor. So, the thing, however your actions, whatever intent behind the actions came out, it seems as though the planet came under new leadership, that of the advisor, who seems to now be trending towards a relationship with the one house that first came to intervene, specifically the House Kurath. You were left, or you were allowed to leave with some resupply from the colony, with food, some spare parts, most of your previous battle damage repaired, and you have a couple passengers that elected to stay behind and become crew. Specifically, Dekoth, another one of the farmers, a Kuha Klingon, who is essentially aspiring to be a warrior, and Kelsa, a an older Klingon woman who is a little bit more specialized with engineering and giving you some much needed support. Um, with all of this said, you've made it through what would be essentially the initial run of missions, or the initial reaction period where you were just kind of reacting to everything that had happened before, and you are now somewhat on a path of your own making at this point, or rather, there's the opportunity to do so. So, my first question would be actually to broadly to the crew. Would anybody have a particular scene that they would want? Would anybody like to interact with another player character, or an NPC? Okay. Seeing none immediately here, I might just go down the list as we start off this day aboard the On, presently at warp, and just see what people are doing at this point. We will start first with you, Raldar. Uh, Tell me, how do you think that uh, your engineer would be spending? Uh, we'd say probably it's been a couple of days out from Gleden 2.
Eh, probably back down to more standard normal duty shifts and the like. Strubbing off a few disruptor burns here and there if they get sore.
Mm, Making
You
sure
know,
making sure things are just a little less stingy, basically.
and making sure we are not going to explode before we get into our next fight.
Fair enough, fair enough. Yes, the maintenance measures have been fairly good. You're at least confident that the you're at least confident in the repairs that were done at Gleden 2. The comms array hasn't posed much of a problem. The hull plating is mostly restored, although you don't have as much of the material to replace the ablative armor that you had previously lost. Um, you've compensated as much as you can, tried to disperse what plating you had in order to ensure maximum coverage, but you continue to feel lingering effects from the loss there. In meta speak, the ship's resistance is presently down from 4 to 3 with the degraded plating. There is also a power coupling in the disruptor array that is giving you continued problems. You've bypassed it, but that fix has been much more difficult to address, at least with what limited supplies they had on the world and with what you have on hand. There just isn't quite enough to completely do away with it.
Ugh,
Yeah.
I'll need to go to a proper dock.
Mm. I imagine that Kelsa has been trying to integrate with some of that pattern of regular work. While she's not coming from the military like you did, she is nonetheless a. She seems to have a good sense of working on tight schedules and a good knack for maintenance of systems. So you find that as Tabak increasingly pulls away from the engine room, that while yes, there's a lot to do, and yes, it's still a lot for two people, Kelsa I think would help make things fairly manageable. Uh, well, anything else that you would want to say on the matter, Raldar?
No, I don't. But I don't think so.
Okay. Uh, well then, going down the line, Kresic, what would you be up to in these days afterwards?
By the numbers, I would be doing research.
Hmm,
I have a project that I am working on that I would like to present to some people. However, it can wait until after we figure out where it is exactly we're going.
I see. So the preliminary work's beginning. If you wish for scenes later, then I would invite you to bring it up at a later point. Yeah. I will at least say that outside of the occasional visit that I at least imagine Woe brings along, I would guess that you are relatively untroubled with your research. In particular, Dekoth is steadfastly avoiding sickbay as much as he can. To
Yeah,
be
after I discharged him, I doubt he wanted to come back. He had a
yes,
lot of broken ribs. A lot.
that he did. So, um, going further on down the list, Woe, how would you be spending these couple days just out in deep space?
Wo would be perfecting the center console where she works. Obviously, to make the buttons bigger because they're giant freaking sausage fingers. being really able to punch anything. But she's also just trying to. She's also hanging out with Traven quite a lot and trying to get his deal. She doesn't actually know what he is, and is just really curious. Just keeps asking him questions and is just marveling over how how he seems to know so much for such a young person.
Yeah.
And I don't know. She's also writing a romance novel because why not?
Good stuff.
But yeah, so that's what was doing.
Yeah. I can very much see a scene in the making later, but we don't have to rush into anything there. Uh, we'll keep going on down the list. Azek, what would you be up to in these couple of days out in deep space?
You mentioned last time that one of our new uh, temporary crew members or crew members
Mm-hmm.
are is very familiar to me, if I remember right.
Um, I believe the person that was familiar was actually the captain of another ship,
Ah, okay.
whom you haven't seen since then, and maybe weren't expecting to see ever again in your life, and then there they were. What
Okay.
would you say? Would Mr. Korg be sulking at this point, or is he just about his normal gregarious self?
Would if our ship doesn't have the equivalent of a gym, he'd probably be in the cargo bay moving crates. Obviously, the best as he could, being one armed, but kind of working up a sweat, exercising a lot, just kind of off from his normal upbeat personality that he's been.
I gotcha. So still some duties at the helm, but otherwise on the off time, working on his own thing. During the times that you are on the bridge, I will say that you will occasionally see bits of Tabak. He is going from bridge. He when he is on the bridge, he seems to be busy with. He always seems to have a pad in his hand, going through possibilities, muttering to himself, and otherwise, you know, there's much on his mind, so he hasn't given much attention to you at this stage. So we'll catch up on more on that in a minute. In the meantime, Traven, how have you been spending these couple of days aboard your new ship?
So, I think most of the time he'd be cleaning, probably. And since Woe's been hanging around a lot, he's been doing his best to convince Woe to help him clean. Not that that's necessarily working.
Oh, I sincerely doubt it is.
Oh, it's not.
And then the rest of the time, he's gonna be like a little kid in a new area. He's constantly asking everybody, "What you doing?"
Hmm. Yeah, one could imagine Traven popping out of a conduit or over a table, out of a barrel, through a crawl space, or just from behind a pylon that is improbably too small to conceal him, just to ask questions. Would that be the fair assessment? Are we Looney Tunes physicsing this?
Absolutely.
I
Good.
push him back.
uh,
Back into the hole.
you, you cannot defy the laws of physics.
Oh my god.
Uh, so good stuff. Good stuff. Well, so suffice to say, all of you keep relatively busy with the with all the tasks going on about the ship, and eventually, I'll say by the third or fourth day, there is an audio message. Tabak has accessed the comms. All crew, whatever business you are conducting, get to a stopping point. And report to the mess hall at within the hour.
I'm preparing snacks.
Gotcha. So,
Of course you are.
let's see. So, um, all of you assemble. I suppose if we wanted to do just a small initiative type thing to determine the order, or unless people want to declare a particular order that they arrive, then we could go through that. Would people rather just roll off for this one? Let's do that.
Sure.
I'm just going to say everybody give me a single D20 roll.
Oh, 1d20.
Oh my goodness sakes. Yes. Wait,
This is the
does that
most
mean I can't get third?
competitive.
Wait, no, lower is better. No!
Okay, so looks like I'll roll 3 real quick just to see where
Where is Kresek's roll?
Vopri, Dekoth, and Kelsa. Um, let's see. Raldar, you are the first one to make your way there. Kelsa says that she will join you very shortly um, in the mess hall when, like, just as soon as she finishes up some work that she's doing. You are most immediately joined by Traven, who you find setting up some sort of food dish for everyone. On that matter, Traven, what were you thinking of snack-wise for the crew?
Dock stuffed raviolis.
Oh man, uh, that's almost appetizing. So yeah, you come through with whatever manner of cart, platter, or something else in order to start bringing these in. The ravioli smelling relatively fresh, although I do wonder, did you actually cook the gach?
It was difficult, but no.
That's great. Okay. Um, but yeah, and as you notice that the engineer and possibly executive officer, Tabak hasn't been all too clear on command order as of yet. Step in. Or Traven, or rather, Raldar, you see the emergency food bringing in some discretionary food, let's say.
Ravioli.
Oh.
What is this?
Appetizers.
Appetizers.
I'm gonna pick one up and hold it to him. Try it.
What's in it?
Deliciousness.
Hmm.
Tra-
I'll try one.
Draven, you hold a ravioli up to this 8 foot tall lizard man, and what I imagine he's still wearing some semblance of armor along with a more standard uniform for the era. Um,
Take the ravioli and pop it in and start chewing, I guess.
okay, let's. I feel like we need to have a one small roll off here, so. Traven, this is going to be your let's call this your, oh dear. Let's call this presence and signs for the presentation of the food to see if everything works together for this. And Raldar, I'm going to ask you to roll this against the let's call this fitness and medicine.
All right.
I, I oh no, that is a complication right at the start. You rolled two
So,
successes, but you've also rolled a complication there.
so does my hazard awareness focus apply?
You know, I might give it to you. I have to ask though first, Traven, what are we picking for to deal with the complication? I suppose I should immediately clarify. It's been a minute since we've ran a session here, so I should probably take all of these momentum, and also we haven't. This is technically a new adventure, so the GM should
No,
draw.
not my precious momentum.
Yeah. Would you prefer to take a narrative complication, or would you prefer to award the GM threat?
Do the narrative.
I'll take threat.
Okay.
Why? Why?
I want an even number, so I will take one
It's
threat.
not even. Ah.
There we go.
No.
All right. Raldar, hazard awareness, I may still give you the option just because you are suspicious of this, but give me that fitness and medicine. Okay. The pasta's or the pasta shell for the ravioli, or like the ravioli itself, maybe is it's strange, but it's not so off-putting once you get to the gach, which somehow is still managing to wriggle to life. It's warmer than you would expect it, possibly out of a function of however the pasta was prepared, but inexplicably, yeah, they did manage to survive. And so too do you, Raldar.
Technically
Yes.
impressive, but why put ga in a noodle?
Flavor. Creativity. That's why.
It's quite like those, I think the Earthers call them chocolates. You know, you bite into it and you're not quite sure what you're going to get, but it happens to be quite tasty. Compliments to the chef.
I think with that, Mr. Korg is also going to join us here. Yep, and Kresic has spawned in a place outside of the token there. Um, as a matter of fact, I'm just going to say, Woe, you have also entered the room. Indeed, most of the crew is starting to come through just after this encounter where they see Traven relatively close to Raldar with a plate of some sort of unspecified food item. But Azek has already guessed to some of it, probably overhearing a bit more of the conversation.
Woe just caught the end. Is like, ooh, chocolates, and it just like puts one on each fingertip and starts sucking them off of her fingers.
Oh.
Oh, it's gross. Oh my god. Never mind, that's not chocolate. Oh god.
Haha, made you eat it.
I'll make you eat this, and she shakes her fist at him.
I don't suppose some of those are sans at, or do they have this chocolate? Is chocolate also a animal product?
No, but this is Don't eat it. Don't eat it. It's not good.
Okay.
I mean, it's acceptable, gah.
Yeah, sure.
Yep.
We'll go with acceptable.
Dikoth and Kelsaw will take some, a little uncertain, but they will eat it nonetheless. It's a quality of gach that they're okay with. Oh. And Kresik, your name, it is not visible.
My name is gone. I do not know why.
That's okay. We can fix this for our audience at home and for everyone else here. There we go. And people didn't see everyone else enter the room anyway, so this is about where we are at. We are only without the captain at this point, but that too will change. Yeah. I suppose just ask, Azik, Kresik, do either of you take take some of the gach as well?
Oh, absolutely. Anything that the mystery parasite man is interested in, Kresik will be interested in.
Hmm. The pasta adds an unusual texture to the already kind of rubbery, curious rubbery feel of gach. It's not the first protein choice, but it is certainly a choice for someone that hasn't grown up with it.
And I would say that my eating methods are much more Gorn than Klingon. So I actually chew food. So it's very odd.
Yes. Just watch this whole lizard man's jaw unhinge and like, or maybe just one big chomp out of half of it.
Mm-hmm.
How big are these ravioli?
They are.
They must be pretty big.
I can only imagine how big Traven tried to make them.
They're probably bigger than Vopri at this point.
Oh
They're
my
woe
God.
sized.
They're woe sized. All right, that's my man right there. That's fine.
Yep.
We're good.
Yep. Azik, do you partake as well?
Oh, of course. This looks. It smelled delicious out in the hall, and it looks delicious.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. You take one, and I have no doubt that between the classic taste of gach and the innovation here, that this is right up your alley there, Azik. But as all of you take on your refreshments, the door opens a final time, and Mr. Tabak comes through. Ah. Oh, I see everyone's eating already. Good. Oh, at some point I need to install another chair in here. Until then, Draven, don't replace that tray just yet. I want you in the room for this as well. What is this?
It's chocolate, Captain.
Wait, no.
What?
I call them gawk pockets.
Gah.
Dockets?
Pockets.
Gawk
Why?
pockets.
Why would you put gach in a perfectly good gach in a pocket of what? What material even is this?
Bread.
He takes a bite of it. He gives you an indifferent grunt as he thinks about how he feels about this. I won't speak for the player in this case. I'll let them decide later. Well, at any rate, I called you all here away from your posts because we have urgent matters to discuss. Simply put, up to this point, we've been reacting to the mess that the dishonorable cur Kalvek put us in. The fate of the people who we nearly whose imprisonment and perpetual servitude we nearly facilitated. It troubles me greatly, but we have done right by them, or as much as we can, and I hope that continues to be the case, he says, nodding towards Dikoth and Kelsa. However, at this point, we need to take stock of our future. We need to actually make decisions about how we are going to conduct ourselves and where we are going to proceed to. Obviously, the ship isn't going to be going back into service for the Imperial Navy. In the state they're in, I don't know that anyone would necessarily take us, and frankly, I have no desire to jump into whatever foolhardy, uh, or rather, I have no desire to jump into a life of meaningless patrols, even if there were some avenue to accept us. As I see it, our best avenue is simply to seek contracts for work, as we have a functioning starship with decent supplies, and a crew, at least a partial crew, capable of carrying them out. We do, however, still need others to fill additional roles on the ship, make up for some redundancy, or add some redundancy. We also will need other supplies to continue extended operation. Thus, my thinking is we find ourselves a port, someplace we can set up for home, or at least a place we can revisit and cultivate further contracts down the line. To that end, I think of the best one for our condition. It's a planet out near the borderlands, a section of space mostly unoccupied, save for Orion operations. It is referred to as Zethlor, and as I see it, that is our only serious chance of managing to survive. Thus, I intend to have us plot a course for this location.
Hmm. All right.
Oh, I don't know why she raises her hand, but she does. Uh, Captain, what about Enig Station?
He kind of froze his brow. Anik Station. I can't say I'm familiar with it.
Hello? Did I die?
No, you did not die. Did
Feel like
I die?
might have died.
Oh no, I
We
might.
can hear you. We can hear both of you.
Okay, good. In that case, whoa, alright, can you hear me now? Also, why is Tabak not showing up there? There we go, we fixed that. Okay, uh, let's see. Apologies for those at home. There might be a slight malfunction with or on my end here. I can at least assure you that the recording is still working. Oh, that's good. Um, all right, Ray, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
Okay, good.
I I couldn't hear anyone else at all ever, but
Oh,
now I can hear you guys.
all right, good. Um, so Tabak has furrowed his brow, staring back to you. Anik Station. I must say that I'm unfamiliar with it.
It's a bit of a basically it's built into an asteroid. Kind of a scavenger situation. There'll be no shortage of parts though, and we could recruit people there. I mean, I know we did. I know I did before. She kind of looks sideways, just not meeting his gaze.
Are you afraid of me, Woe?
What? Um, she
I ex-
she she hides her mouth behind her hand because she's trying so hard not to laugh. You are a very strong man, Captain. Not so much in a physical way, but you are very terrifying in your own right. Um,
I'm only asking because I'm looking for eye contact. Now,
uh,
you say
she
there.
makes eye contact again.
I know not of all of the parts of your past there. Frankly, much of that is your own, so long as it doesn't come back on us. I'm perfectly content to let however that happened slide, but well, I'm more concerned about your mention of a scavenger station. Are we talking about a pirate's den?
Talking about what? I'm sorry.
Are we
Didn't
talk?
hear you there, Captain.
Are we talking about a pirate's den, Woe?
It's presently run by the Creel. I'm not too sure on who they are. It's
Ugh. I will say, at the very least, Azik and let's see, Azik and Raldar, go ahead and roll. Let's call this reason plus command.
All right.
This would be for sort of a history or knowledge, basically knowledge check to see how much you know about them. I'm going to set the difficulty on this task to 1 for both of you. Um, Others may attempt to roll, but possibly at higher difficulty. Well, I think that it's best it probably wouldn't make sense for you to roll since you don't, or
I
the
don't
Creel
know.
didn't register in the same way.
Yeah.
What am I rolling?
Reason plus command. For you,
Ooh.
Doctor, I'm going to say that the difficulty is actually up to 3.
That is fine by me.
And let's see. Oh no, Raldar, why?
What is your deal tonight?
Technically,
distracted by the gawk pockets.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, Raldar, would you prefer to take a narrative complication for that critical failure you rolled, or would you prefer to award the GM threat?
I'll take narrative.
Okay, I am going to have to
That's my
think
boy.
of something appropriate for you.
Paranormal phenomena? Is that going to apply?
Oh, if only. Though, for all you know, it could.
Wow, I actually made the difficulty. Wait, what?
Yep. Kresic rolled 3 successes. So, to everybody's credit, everybody who remembered, all of you do recall what the Creel are. It's a reference to a species known for, at least in terms of physical description, roughly humanoid in appearance, although they generally share traits of sort of a lantern-esque, like a lantern jaw type thing, very broad sort of chins and jawbones, very like an almost triangular torso in some ways. They they tend to pack quite a bit of muscle for most of them. Like very buff upper body with like a sort of 3-fingered hand claw type thing, grabbies if you will, and then very spindly legs on the bottom that seem very incongruous with their lower half. But in Klingon culture, they are generally a little bit frowned upon, as some of you would know, and as Kresic would have gathered, mostly because of what Tabok says here. The Creel, you've got to be joking. They're little more than scavengers of past Klingon glories, stripping away whatever dregs remain from battles long since fought. They spend most of their lives and vacuum those that head out in the stars, and uh, they win nothing for themselves.
Well, Captain, we're not exactly the creme de la creme at this point. I mean, you've got to admit, it's a little bit of a dire straight situation. By the way, that city was great. But, you know, I mean, I don't see the issue, really. But we have other places. What about the Graham Hall? Or Graham Hall, I don't know how you say it.
I can't say that I'm familiar with that one either.
Well, we're already talking about asteroid bases, so let's go on another one. This one's got a lot of shady types, but they're all pretty strong. They'd be good for beefing up the security situation that is sadly lacking on this ship. She
Yep.
looks at the captain, dead in the eyes.
I'm less inclined to take us into a shady port. Traven, actually, I would invite you and Azik. You may also attempt to roll command and reason on this. The difficulty on this for both of you, well, I'm willing to say difficulty 2 for both of you. Oh.
Oh no.
Oh
Oh,
no.
yes.
Why are you guys intentionally eating crap today? Like, what's going
So,
on?
Azik scores no successes with one complication, but Traven manages to succeed with 2. Azik, I must ask, would you prefer to um, take that as a narrative complication, or would you rather give the GM threat?
A narrative complication that the gawk pockets were actually poisoned. Or at least Azek thinks that.
Traven would never.
Uh, Azik, you've been enjoying the skak pocket, but for some reason, you begin to feel inexplicable nausea and discomfort. Oh God, this is just the Klingon Jim Gaffigan routine.
Dead pocket.
It's something like that. You are automatically suspicious now of Traven because he is making you look bad by not being able to say this. But Traven, as far as you know, you actually remember from your days before captivity that you recall essentially the equivalent of Federation National Geographic. Mentioning something on one of the cruises that you were previously working on. Um, as you can see in the Roll20 chat there, you do recall a certain detail. That is to say, the Roll20.
Gramhole. It's Nausicaan, right?
Yeah, Snorskin.
You wanted to.
Reference
Go ahead.
it's reference to a mountain?
Yeah. It's named after something on Mount Nausicaa. I don't really
You
don't
wanted.
go there.
You wanted to put us on a Nausicaan port.
Well, I mean, it's not strictly Nausicaans. I mean, there's Klingons like yourself.
I
With,
doubt. I doubt very much that Klingons like myself spend much time in a pit such as such that a pirate den like that the Nausicaans would operate.
I mean, it's more like how do I put this? Hospice for damaged, reputably damaged honor? I don't
You
actually
would
know what it is.
you would impugn the ship's honor by putting them there. Oh, does
But
anybody
they,
does anybody else have ideas that aren't actually terrible?
I don't want to overstep here, Captain, but you're being pretty xenophobic right now.
He just looks over to you and like sets the partially eaten gach pocket on the table. I am not going to risk this ship that was very nearly lost in in a battle only brought on by dishonorable circumstances to marauders or scavengers. I I have concerns for security when we are attempting to re-equip, and frankly, I have concerns about the use of what we could get at places like these. As a as the commander in this situation, it is up to me to make some of these critical decisions. Frankly, I feel it an act of generosity to listen to everyone on this, but then I feel everyone would mention these options anyway. But in any case, I would.
Well, sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
I'm just saying I don't think Zethlo is our best bet, especially since we just mutinied with someone who conducted business with the Orions. How do you know he didn't do it there? And how do you know they're not looking for him?
That is a possibility and one of some trouble, but I'm certain if I can merely explain we challenged him in honorable combat that the deal he was conducting was not what he had advertised, and
It's a
I'm
slave trade outpost. They're not going to understand honorable trading of slaves. There's
Zethlor.
like a. Sorry, go ahead.
It does have Orion operations, but it is still a mostly Klingon colony. We could probably find other ways to avoid it if it came down to that.
She looks around the table. Anyone else have any suggestions? I'm not keen on going to Zethlo.
I would rather not have to deal with more Nausicaans. They might smell blood in the water of our ship that isn't exactly up to full capacity.
And they have weak throats.
I don't know much about this area, but maybe there's like a common ground, like a spaceport where everybody goes, like a trade port.
Some of the main ports had crossed my mind, but I have concerns about going anywhere excessively public. There's a chance that might be patrolled by the Imperial fleet, and while the fleet itself might not be a danger to us, those D6 class battle cruisers we encountered some weeks back, this was before you'd come on, I had suspicions that there's a plot, perhaps involving a dishonorable house's activities. If any one of them were participating with that house, then it would be entirely possible that that they could identify us and potentially cause us trouble under the guise of operating on behalf of the Imperial fleet.
So we have to find a place that Klingons don't necessarily like, but also a place where we're not in danger.
Yeah, essentially, the way that the way that it's kind of breaking out here, because of the sort of extra legal status on which you might be operating. Between the incident that apparently brought this crew to Gleeden 2 in the first place, um, which you have probably gathered bits and pieces of, if not the full story, in talking to people. Um, basically, it sounds as though Tabak is trying to play things. He wants to aim for a port that is definitely a bit off the map, or where the main Klingon fleet isn't necessarily going to poke around. Probably not too closely to a major house yard as well, since that invites other questions or problems. Everything that is being talked about has sort of the variable of there's varying degrees of seediness to each port. They present unique advantages. While Tabak has set himself on one option in particular, he can still be persuaded.
Quick question.
Yes.
Since I did succeed, oh no, I succeeded on that one. Would I know how far this place is from Gorn space?
So Anik Station, or wait, are we talking about Zethlor or Anik Station?
This is the one that the captain wants to go to, Zethlor.
Zethlor is, I'd say it's still it's probably still a couple dozen light years at least from Gorn space, because I'm thinking about where I recall Cestus being on the map, and where that bit of space would eventually be situated. So it's definitely out of everything that's been listed, I would say Zethlor is probably the closest, but it's not that you would be on a direct course or really passing Gorn space in order to get there.
And Anik Station?
So far as you know, or presuming that we can say that cartography notes have been exchanged over the course of this discussion, and from what you are finding in the records, it looks as though that would still keep you well inside Klingon space, further away from Gorn space, and really well clear of any major worlds. It's actually probably the closest station that you could go to.
Gotcha. Okay.
I would Zethlor, I'm kind of nervous about that place. Just for some of the rumors coming out of there.
Oh, is everyone here so concerned about this going to this planet? Do not hold your tongue around me, Ezek.
Well, as I'm sure you're aware, Captain, and granted, these are just rumors, and we know that you can't always trust everything you read on the comm channels, but the Klingon officials and Klingon intelligence may operate there because it's less likely that they can conduct their business in private. So if we want to keep clear of those folks, we will have to be very cautious if that is the path that you choose for us, Captain.
I have considered that possibility as well, Mr. Korg. Indeed, that is part of the reason that part of the reason I considered the planet as a prime destination. Everyone there is seeking to conduct their business with relative privacy. So, in order to keep that unwritten code there and not bring retribution upon themselves, they would not act against us, or at least not in so open a manner as to create problems for us that wouldn't overwhelm what we do have.
I see your wisdom. Okay. That does make sense. Just, throwing different ideas out there.
Yeah. Well, in case, actually, I kind of feel like in this moment, we might be justified in doing something. If you want to gain a little strategic insight, if you want to press, if you still want to press for annexation there, Woe, I can give you a little bit on that front, or rather, to gain broader understanding here.
All right, sounds good.
Okay. Let's
He
see.
just wants more threat. He just wants more dice
I-
rolled to get more threat.
And he won't get it from me.
Uh,
Raldar, on the other hand.
okay. Woe,
I didn't give
please
a threat.
give
That
me
was
a.
Traven.
Let's see. Go ahead and give me insight and command here.
All right. Pull up real quick.
And base difficulty 1 here.
Do you mind if I use my negotiation focus, or is this just to gain insight?
This is
And
just
actually,
pure.
no, it doesn't.
This is just purely insight at the moment, but
Okay.
it won't necessarily hurt. Well, something else is in play at the moment. Oh,
Okay.
surprise, surprise.
Oh God!
There is 1 success, so you technically succeed. However, you have also scored a complication.
You'll get no
Everybody's
from
done
me,
1.
old man.
That's almost 1 crit fail from everyone at this point tonight. All right.
Isaac is the only one among us who is strong.
We will see.
I
Narrative
would
or
like
threat?
narrative, please.
Okay.
Yes, narrative.
Okay. Well, you first, I guess, describe your general sort of body language or affectation at this point as you're trying to ponder your next move here.
She's tense, but she's trying not to let it show. So she's got one hand gripping very hard on her chair, and the other hand calm, above the table.
Gotcha. So, as parts of you seem to tense up, you kind of focus in on Tabak, looking at the Klingon as he looks around the table. Though he's maintaining something of a calm visage himself, you get other senses. Something. It doesn't feel quite tangible in the sense, or it's not like you are quite looking at him in a way. But you feel impressions. Some of it is perhaps slight befuddlement over how the conversation appears to be going differently than he expected. There are also still the sense of very central concerns. While he's prepared, obviously, to take risks where needed, there's the sense that he's basically tapping some sort of cost-benefit analysis, or that if he could balancing security with practicality is kind of the general mode. It's something that gives you at least a sense of where he is coming from, or where kind of the pathway to convincing him of a particular option. So trying to shift the balance in your favor in that sense seems to be the way it seems Tabak's mind is working. That seems to be the best general line, and you realize you're reading a lot into this, and you start questioning how, and the more you focus on it, the more you tense up, and oh man, you've got a big headache now. You take 2 points of stress.
Oh my god! Okay, now you're getting greedy. Okay. Do I click the stress?
Yes.
Okay. She clutches the side of her head, just lets out a small groan. For a moment, she is just getting agitated, and then she looks at Captain and just says, I need to be excused, Captain.
Oh. Well, if if you need to take rest, then do what you need to. Doctor, see to the Kazinti. I don't want the lead bit of muscle we have on this ship being incapacitated.
She nods and appreciates the praise, but is also kind of sad that she is allowed to go so easily, because it makes her feel like her presence isn't needed.
Well, unless you make an effort to, or unless anyone makes an effort here to say otherwise, Tabak will, or to persuade him of a particular role, Tabak seems relatively set in his ways. Um, that being said, Kresic, with Woe seeming a bit under the weather, would you want to take any sort of immediate reaction?
I would probably head out. Quite frankly, Krisik doesn't really care where we decide to go, as long as it's not toward Gorn space. So he's perfectly fine heading off to make sure that Woe is fine.
Okay. Well, as I guess then, as the two of you leave, well, first I would ask Raldar, Azik, or even Traven, although admittedly you know the least about the situation. Would any of you want to try to convince Tabak of an alternate course of action, or aim for anything on the aim for any alternatives here?
No, I think I'm going to follow captain's lead.
What planet are we on again?
You are currently on a spaceship out in
I mean,
space.
where? What planet do we leave from? I'm sorry.
Gleedan 2.
Okay, I'm looking on the map. I'm trying to find how close we are to Ryza.
Listen,
Wow.
we're not going to Ryza.
I'm game for that. Let's set course.
No
let's
one
just,
is
let's
going
just
to Ryza.
We are not doing a beach episode.
Not today.
Or the only acceptable circumstance for you to go to Ryza is to attack Ryza. Oh.
They'll feel better. It's fine.
Isn't in Klingon life isn't that a Tuesday?
I don't know. Anyway, yeah, well, with no one else offering another course of action, as Woe and Kresic leaves, Tabak becomes set in his mind at this point. Look, at the while your opinions or knowledge is useful, I know what is best for the crew in this circumstance, and the best option would be Zethlor. Azek set a course, get us there best possible speed. Raldar, I presume the engines are in reasonable enough shape in order to get us there.
Everything is reasonable.
All right, well, keep it that way. Let's get to that world before we have other cause or need for repairs or other concerns here.
So you want us to plot a course that's the fastest? Do you want us to make sure we stay? Do you want us to fly casual, sir, as to not draw attention to ourselves?
I would yes, I would like us to not draw attention to ourselves. Don't fly anywhere stupid. Don't go into an Imperial Fleet defense zone, or fly over the core world of a major house. Find us a.
Look, that flyby of that one house, I was in training. The engines were shot. I'm surprised you heard about that, but okay. Fly too close to the leader of one person's house, and everybody gets on your case about it.
Tabak has no words adequate to describe how he's feeling at this point, so he'll just say, "You have your orders. Carry them out."
Aye, aye.
And he looks at you. Tabak turns to you, Traven. He also reaches back towards the table, picking up the gach pocket, quote unquote. I don't want another one of these on my ship. I do not.
I'm sorry, another one of what?
This pastry is a waste of perfectly good gach.
Would you ask a warrior under your command to not fight a specific fighting style?
I would ask a warrior to fight effectively, and if they were under my command, and to not to not do anything that endangers the crew unnecessarily. This, oh, he slightly coughs. This feels like an unnecessary risk for my stomach.
You seem to be the only one with a problem with it.
Traven says as Azek is feeling increasingly nauseous.
Can you hold back, Azek?
Pretty sure it was from my working out too hard and the new food.
Yeah. And the poison.
That too. I'm gonna excuse myself. I must go for the glory of the Klingon Empire, and I run to the bathroom.
You wish to be creative, I will not stop you with that. Just maybe not this particular dish.
If you would like, Captain, I can prepare a very specific diet pertain to your tastes only. You are the captain. You should be treated as such.
Well, I appreciate the offer of reverence. I understand that there are some with variable diets here. I do not wish to constrain you excessively, but that does mean I want the food to be edible. That is the minimum threshold.
I understand completely.
I'll just set the gach pocket back down on the table and leave the room. Vopri says, uh, Mr. Traven, can we discuss a more regular menu for something to my taste, just for me, not to impose on the rest of the crew?
Don't worry. I'm perfectly fine. I can adhere to your vegetarian diet. However, I look at the door where the captain left. I'm gonna be 10 times more creative now.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Vopri doesn't quite know how to handle himself, so as the room empties out, he just like, uh, yes, but next time I would appreciate the vegetarian option too for the snack.
I'll make sure it's done next time.
Oh.
Promise.
and he will just sort of prattle on off. As will the rest of the crew, except for Dakoth, who has, I believe that he alone has the sufficient taste to truly appreciate your gach pocket. So, I guess let's go back around then, and see what scenes there are from here. First, oh, no, we may as well stick to the earlier order that we went through here. Raldar, as the meeting is breaking up, is there anything that you would want to do? And if so, would you want any interactions with other characters or scenes of anything?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay,
Go.
gotcha. Well, as the rest of the crew clears out, Traven, is there anything else that rather, is there anyone you would want to interact with, or anything you'd wish to do?
Do we have types of fruit?
I imagine that there were some that you were able to get from the kitchen.
Start fermenting some fruit.
Good stuff.
What type of name you playing here?
He's making more poisons, obviously. That's why I only drink clean water.
He said the
Make
thing,
alcohol.
everyone.
Finally.
Won an adventure. Okay. So, yeah, you proceed along your way then, or starting to ferment the fruit. Let's see here. Continuing on down the list. Whoa, you've got a bit of a headache. I presume that this would mean a stop by medbay,
This would indeed.
which means, I guess, a scene with you and Kresic, if the two of you are game for it.
Oh, the brain
Yes.
drill's still there.
Oh no! Oh no! And the Dakoth clone. We gotta get rid of these here. There, it's all gone. It's just
The
a
drill.
Safe.
it's just a bad memory now.
Dakoth and his 12 broken ribs. Truly a
Yes.
rough time.
How many ribs do they have?
He made more.
um, so, uh, yeah. Well, you don't quite stumble in, but like the throb in your head does make under your temple does like make your steps a little very marginally less certain.
Crazy, get a bucket. I'm gonna vomit. Oh my god.
I grab a bucket,
She does not
drop
vomit.
it, drop it at her. The usual.
This is no time for jokes, mate. I've got a blinder behind the eyes. What happened? It's never come on that hard before.
I would know if I was ever able to get a brain scan.
Your beds aren't big enough, and you know this. She is absolutely stalling. She knows the beds are absolutely big enough because he has one specifically for himself.
He just grumbles, grabs a hypo with a painkiller.
That's the stuff. Gimme.
Injects it.
With that, the headache steadily begins to diminish, Woe, and you quickly feel more yourself right away.
So that was weird. She kind of takes her hand away from her head and looks at Krezek and says, what are the signs of brain damage? I think you did something whenever you killed me.
Brain damage, loss of motor skills, slurred speech, intense headaches, turning into a 9-foot-tall felinoid.
Ah! I've got all the symptoms, Krezek.
I'm afraid it's terminal.
Oh, God. Terminal. What does that even mean?
You'll be just fine.
Oh, good. The captain sure was very sure of himself, wasn't he? I don't want to go there.
Why not?
Reasons. That's all she says. Just reasons.
I would like to insight check that.
Go ahead and give
You're
me.
gonna insight check reasons?
Go ahead and give me an insight and command, I suppose, contested by Woe's presence and command, or presence and security, I suppose, since you're keeping this as close to the chest as possible. And, you know, she might seem haunted by this, but I'm sorry, I don't think paranormal activity works.
No, but psychoanalysis does, right?
That's correct. That definitely works.
I'm using a focus too. You're not special.
Oh, that's true. Okay.
Um,
Okay.
Yeah, so Kresic, you score 1 success, but that is not enough to overcome Woe's 2 successes. And I think this is the first time that anyone has properly exceeded the difficulty on a task all session, which means, Woe, you earn the group momentum.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah.
All right.
Who would like to be our designated momentum officer this session?
What do you do to be the momentum officer?
All you do is I give you tokens. Occasionally, you click on those tokens and pull one of them out and just drop them when somebody spends it.
Okay, I'll do that.
Yep. Congratulations, you're promoted.
All right.
Kresic is generally easygoing, I think, as Woe has probably been around you. I would imagine that she still has easily the capacity to close off in ways or to set herself aside or to separate from anything that you or anyone else could reach, or at least as far as you understand her. I would guess this is probably the only. This may be the only Kazinti you've ever dealt with, and possibly even the only Felinoid, period. So it's there are a lot of variables at play, and there's a good deal you probably still don't know about Woe for as long as, or for however long you knew her back on Guo Takor.
And quite frankly, I know better than to try.
Yes.
It's never gone well.
Yeah. Woe, is there anything you'd want to add to how she kind of closes off or is like difficult to read? Any flavor you'd like to add?
She gets progressively silly. She's like, does a little shoulder punch, like, aren't we best friends kind of attitude. It's complete deflection. And you can see there is like a little bit too many teeth showing when she's like, "Hey, buddy, just you and me against the world, right?" And she just kind of nudges him a little bit too hard.
I don't care where we go.
Why not?
Doesn't make any difference.
Let's hope so. And I'm good with that as far as scenes go.
All right then. Well, let's move things around then. That would probably take care of anything you'd want to do there, Woe. Let's see. And Kresik, before we leave, would you want any other scenes or anything else to discuss?
I do have something that I'd like to do, but again, it can happen sometime between our trip. So it doesn't have to happen right now.
Okay. Well, I figure since Zephlor is a very slight bit of a trek, there would be time for something like that to occur, is the main reason I ask.
Yeah, as long as nobody else minds, I do have something that I would like to do sometime during that trip.
Okay. Would it be a scene involving any particular characters?
I would be inviting Woe, Raldar, Traven, and Vopri to a meeting.
Oh dear, we do have a rather nice bunch here, so that will be something to look at. Just in case, before that, I will offer an immediate scene option to one other person who hasn't gone just yet. Azik, is there anything that you would be doing in particular after the meeting, and after your
Well,
time in the bathroom? That is.
yeah. After giving a very barbaric yelp in the bathroom, I'm gonna head to the bridge and set course. And as a joke, I'm gonna set the captain's chair to recline mode because he said he wanted to fly casual, and I'm trying to offset my the seriousness that I've had the past few weeks, I guess, with just a little bit of humor for the captain. So, yeah.
Well, so at a later point, whilst on the bridge, um, the we will say that for a time it is simply you, Vopri, and Cheshire who is occupying their usual place on the captain's chair, keeping it warm and not being eaten by Raldar. Um, Eventually, Tabak does come by, and when he does, he moves to sit down, his nose still in a pad, and he sits down and, like, comes down hard enough to expect for his back to clash against the chair. And just for this, um, I'm gonna give him a roll here just to see how he does in terms of this. Let's call this, well, we'll call it difficulty 1 still, but let's see if he's got the same luck as the rest of the crew. Okay, no.
There's a threat.
I'm disappointed.
Um, well, he he doesn't drop the pad or like lose his balance, but he realizes that the chair is not rising up to meet him. He just looks at you. That what 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 technical no is the chair malfunctioning again?
No, sir. You said fly casual, so I set your captain's chair in casual mode.
Oh. He Tabak just kind of groans and sets about finding whatever function on the console allows for it to roll back up. So, subjecting himself to the indignity before you of him waiting for the chair to fully recline before, or rather, fully like resume its supportive position before going back in. I swear I don't know why Kalvek wanted this setting.
I don't know, but it's handy for the kitty.
Oh. He considers Cheshire for a moment, who has now jumped up on his lap after the chair is back in full recline, and gives him a pet. Well, we're on course. That's what matters.
Yes, sir. We are on course. Do I need to? Can I do a what would it be? Reason and would it be con to figure out how long it'll take us?
I will say, yeah, I think that would apply. Reason and con. I will allow the ship's con and computers to assist you. The difficulty of this task will be 2.
Oh, dang. There we go.
Hey, somebody want to roll for the ship? And I don't believe if I didn't say it already, it would be the computers and con that would assist from the ship. I may have
Computers.
given an incorrect instruction there, for which I apologize. All right, so let's see. We have that roll up. So, for those not able to see, the ship did not score a success. However, why would it when Mr. Korg himself has scored 4 successes in a single roll, which well exceeds the difficulty and awards back 2 momentum to the pool. So yeah, with this, you should be on course within 3 days. That will pass by relatively quickly. So far as plot convenience goes, we will move at the speed of plot and maybe hold a scene or 2 en route. But anyway.
3 days, Cap.
Suppose it's the best I can ask for. Keep us on course there, Mr. Korg, and let's try not to get into anything too serious. Oop, I dealt that to Azek when I meant to deal it to Ray. Let me just pull all of that back. And there you go. All right. So, yeah, with that, the Raptor proceeds on its course. The old Klingon Raptor, the Yon, is is moving along. Stars streaking by as it passes through space in a bubble of sort of its own reality, kept close, whilst it moves at faster than light speeds through Klingon space. These next couple days remain relatively uneventful, although at a certain point, a request is sent out to, I believe you said it was Woe, Raldar, and who else did you want, Kresic? Traven?
Woe, Raldar, Traven, and Vopri.
All right. Are they meeting you in sickbay, or did you wish to meet elsewhere?
I would have obviously initially sent out sickbay, because why leave? But if someone else gave me a counter proposal, I wouldn't mind meeting there.
Would any of you have a counter proposal then?
Woe's bedroom.
Any other
The mess hall.
Okay. I see the mess hall, Woe's bedroom, Raldar.
Nah,
Okay.
I'm good.
Where's everybody more comfortable meeting?
Mess hall it is.
Boo!
I guess with nobody else saying anything, we go back to the mess hall set. Traven has so much to do anyway, preparing for.
Unless, of course, we have a Woe's bedroom set, in which case,
Regrettably, we do not.
Okay.
That would be Theater of the Minding It. I don't know that I don't know that any artist would be fully capable of setting up everything we would want for that, and I don't know that I would usher that into existence as a judgment call. You know.
That is fair. I was just saying, if there was one, then just because of the fact that I would want to see it, I would say we would meet there. But
Yeah.
mess hall is fine.
All right. So I'm going to pull everyone back in and. Okay, so later on, you all get the chance to meet up in the mess hall. We'll say this is partway through the second day of your trip, and everybody may place themselves as they wish. Obviously, Kresic doesn't necessarily want to stay on the table. And Traven, I'm
Well,
sure.
maybe I do want to stand on the table.
I mean, that's your prerogative. You're going to be crouching, though, given that ceiling.
That's very true. And when Voprai comes in, I invite him to sit next to me.
All right. Voprai, he is indeed the last to enter, tending to his, since he's been busy with bridge duty, and he steps in. Hello.
Come, sit here.
Oh, I can take this seat here. It is fine, but maybe this is okay.
Can I just pick Voprai up and move him to Krasic's side?
Oh, he is moved by one means or another.
I gently place a hand on his shoulder. Good.
Okay.
Thank you all for coming. When we were on our last planet, the captain said his house had no power. This is problematic. I have a solution. And I have a stack of data pads, 4 data pads for everybody. And I pass them to the 4 of you.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
And
All ears.
on those data pads is the beginnings of a gene therapy to convert the smooth-headed Kuha Klingons into their bumpy-headed compatriots.
You gonna deform the captain to make him more likable?
It seems Klingons are trying to do this already, but it is lacking.
It is primarily cosmetic, if I recall.
Well, we can give him 4 head ridges. Just slice and dice and, I don't know, shove a carrot under there or something. Wouldn't be hard.
This would be a permanent solution, and one that could be used to gather support.
You think you can? No. It's mostly a case of being able to do it cheaper than what can already be done.
Cheaper, more available, and better.
Well, if it works out, you'll get a lot of friends.
Don't care about friends. But I need assistance.
What are we gonna do?
I point to Vopri, talented scientist for research.
I am not trained as a biologist.
You helped with these spores. You can help with this.
This small, sinewy white man blinks his solid pitch black eyes. I do not think that is how science works, and I am troubled that you, a doctor, think that way.
Uh, if, I, I'm really good at science.
Good. And an artist and a sculptor of flesh. This will be needed. I point to Raldar. You know how Klingons think. What they will want. Any improvements we could make. Extra arms, for example.
No, nothing like that. But well, if you could make them look like what they would have looked like had the virus not occurred, I think they would prefer it much more over the current iteration of the treatment.
That is the plan. And you, and I point to Woe,
She straightens up.
would not have let me hear the end of it if I did not include you in this meeting.
Ah. Why did you leave me for last? You could have just said that first instead of building it up. Ugh. All right.
And I'm
fair.
sure I can find something for you to do.
Fair dues. Fine.
Do not want to bring this to the captain until we have more prepared.
Ew. Don't like hiding things from the captain.
It's not hiding, it's not promising a product I cannot follow through on. Resources are scarce. This crew is small. My team is adequate.
Fuck you, I'm great.
You are an immortal worm. I agree.
I find this this taxonomy complement insult a most puzzling prospect. There is risk though if we attempt to genetically engineer Klingon and Captain finds out before it's ready. Captain may not care for it.
I don't plan to perform any trials before the captain approves it, but I need something more concrete.
I'm throwing out that mixer.
And I do not want Klingons involved until it is ready. They had their chance. It did not work.
So you've done this before.
He's going to ignore that.
She's gonna lean
Does
forward.
anyone have concerns or questions?
Alright, it's my turn to insight check Krezek.
All right.
That'll be insight and I feel like security actually applies here for you.
Alright.
Kresic, I think that this would be
Present security?
Yeah, I will entertain that for what you are trying to contain.
Psychoanalysis would not be a focus, or it would be a focus?
I
do you think?
don't think it would be a focus on
Alrighty.
defense here.
Crap.
Okay.
Hey, we still beat me.
Well, you have been around Kresic a fair bit, and so whereas he may not always have a full bead on you, you do have a little bit more of a sense on him. Kresic, I will say, if you prefer, you could always whisper something to Woe here, or you can at least, I mean, if you'd prefer.
I would say what you see from Kresic is that he seems excited, which is something that you don't normally see of him.
I want to badger him a little bit, but I also like that he's happy. Oh. She leans back in her chair and says, "You and I are going to have a private conversation later. In the meantime, alright, I'm game."
Good. I will need supplies when we stop at our destination. Traven.
Yes.
Wherever I go, they tend not to barter with my kind. I may need assistance in securing supplies.
Oh, I'm great at talking to people. I won't let you down.
I know you won't. That is all. And I stand up and will turn on my heel and walk away.
Excellent. So you are now all let in on a scheme of Kressik's to try to produce a new cure to the Kuvat virus, and one that may eventually restore the Kuhach to their original state. And seeing how that resolves will come more later on, which for now, I would think that we focus on, or rather, I should ask first, does anyone else in the crew have other things that they wish to do in the or like in the days between now and their arrival?
I got hit by the brain scrambler. I got a headache that's fucking killing me.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh.
I'll
Whoa,
get
you
some
you went
water.
too hard. Whoa.
Listen, these are not transferable headaches.
Stop using your psychic powers on me. I know you're reading my mind.
I promise you I'm not. There's nothing to read.
That's exactly what a mind reader would say.
Stop spamming me with gay porn. I know it's you, Trayvon.
Effective.
So so over the course of the next day or so, the Yon manages to make its way through Klingon space, and finally begins to approach the system that contains the world Zethlor. Let's switch things over. So let's see here. Let's make sure that everything is still working here. Oh, good, it is not. All right. Apologies to the chat. We are momentarily frozen here, or at least I am. Such is life sometimes, though. But that's okay. I think that... Okay, I'm just going to have to refresh here. All right, there we are. So, at some point later, or like on that the day of arrival, you are people are assembled to bridge stations for those that have them. I suppose Raldar, this would still put you on. You might be back in the engine room with Kelsa, but you are at least. There's a running audio between the bridge and engine room. Um, Mr. Korg, take us out of warp. Raldar, I want impulse engines at least half power. All right. So, as the Klingon as the Klingon characters tick down to reflect that you are closing the range, Tabok goes to Mr. Azek, take us out now.
Aye, Captain.
And with a few taps at your console from your left hand, the warp drive disengages and you are brought out in the rough vicinity of Zethlor. The system itself is a... something happened there. Oh dear. Oh.
Sorry.
Do I take that control and con roll? Because you do technically earn momentum that way, but there is also yet another complication.
Give us the narrative complication.
Azek, please stop! Please stop with the complication!
Azek, please!
Okay. Well, Azek, you think that you actually time it more properly so as to drop out of warp relatively close to the planet, actually, sparing you the time at impulse that would be relatively slow hauling. It's definitely a time-saving move, and you are able to very easily, very quickly pull the ship out of warp in that vicinity, which let's go ahead and put you on. I'm going to move you guys over to just another screen here. Coming into the system, it's essentially a G-type. It's a system with a G-type star, at least how Earthers would classify it. I'd say probably half a dozen habitable worlds in the, or well, not habitable worlds, but half a dozen worlds of varying sorts in the area. Zethlor itself is it would qualify more as a conquerable planet, but mostly only marginally habitable and not so much worth colonization. Nonetheless, there are some outposts that are fairly well developed and that exploit what resources there are. You're considering pulling around for the terminus of the planet, or at least you would up until the point, Azek, that you realize that you are at, I'd say, 2,000 calichems and rapidly decreasing on a collision course with another bird of prey.
Evasive maneuvers.
That would
Can I
be.
put the shields up?
Oh, you may raise shield as a minor action, and Azik, this would be daring and con. I am spending 3 threat to increase the complication range up to 3. And you may be assisted by the ship's engines and con.
I'd like to use my piloting focus for this particular role.
That definitely applies. All right, that's 2 successes there. And then the ship can also assist. Okay, so let's see, that is 2 successes, and I believe, what did I just say here? 3, was it?
Yeah, I thought it was 3.
Yeah. Well, I can allow you to succeed at cost if you wish. That does it in itself mean taking a complication.
Yeah, I like succeed at cost.
Okay. Well, the evasion is mostly successful. I'd say that the complication that arises from that is that your instinct, the direction that you aim to evade, is also momentarily the one the other bird of prey opts to take. So you are. Let's see. I think that they will pull up at the last possible moment, and they will deviate from your course in such a way that they will mostly avoid you. However, the the 2 ships are going to interact with each other. So let's see. I am going to say if you can roll 3 challenge dice, someone with the really anyone on their sheet, if somebody would roll 3 challenge dice for the ship here, I will roll 3 from theirs as well. Okay. Okay. Well, the good news is you take no damage whatsoever. Your shields manage to completely bounce off that, or they manage to completely deflect the damage, and I mean, there's nothing even to resist there. That the other ship, on the other hand, that is taking 5. That is 5 points of damage there, which I think, as a further part of the complication, I'm going to rule is not properly resisted. So let's see if this is. I think that I'm going to say, yeah, that's enough for damage here. So. Oh dear, what will that get them?
Eric, are you trying to kill us? Like, did we do something?
Some granny driver shouldn't be in front of the helm.
I don't think it was their fault this time. In fact, I don't think it was anyone's fault any time except for yours.
Aren't you
But
guys supposed to die
okay.
in combat?
What? Just hit us?
So all of you throughout the ship did feel a quite considerable jostling. Were it not for the shields, it would also be probably a bit of a scraping noise that would have at least messed up the paint job you've just fixed up. Um, Thankfully, none of that had come to pass here. However, while the Yan is perfectly fine, the other ship was caught. The other bird of prey was caught, or rather, the bird of prey that you hit in the same sort of gothic style of the more Discovery era ones, the Machal or the Machla class vessels. Its port side wing nicks the shields, and it does so at a sufficient angle that it actually causes it to develop a bit of a spin, and there is going to be some damage with that, which I'm just working out now. That was an impact to their sensors, so they are momentarily blinded.
Do we have cloaking abilities on our ship at all?
No, that
Wouldn't
doesn't
exist.
exist. Yep.
Ugh! As it get us out of
Azik,
here quick before they realize.
They don't arrive till Tuesday.
Azik, without hitting another ship, if you please, get us around the planet, or better yet, in the atmosphere, and try not to crash us this time.
That was not my fault. All right.
All right. So
Don't
you
worry.
just you get the hell out of Dodge, or in this case, orbit, hoping that they didn't get a good look at you before their sensors went down as they begin to spin quite fast. You wouldn't want to be on that ship if it didn't have inertial dampeners for sure.
They be rocking and rolling. All right. You want daring or you want control?
Since this is a much more sudden descent, I'm going to ask you for a daring and con roll here. I'm going to set the difficulty on this one to 2.
I'm going to
And
spend one of our momentum for a third dice, if I could, please.
Yeah, sounds good.
that would be a wise idea. Yeah. And to help you plot your descent here, I will allow computers and con to be rolled for the ship. Okay, so Azik, you score 4 successes, which is more than enough to succeed. The ship pitches.
Is it enough for a barrel roll?
You may do a barrel roll if you like.
Did you say computers and con?
Yes. Okay, so yeah, that's going to easily fill you up on momentum. I'll delete that one over there, and then, oh dear, I did. Let's see here. Yes, I'm going to remove that one there. That will take care of. So let's see. That is going to fill you up on momentum, and you will have 1 floating. So you begin craning your way. Well, you descend through cloud layers very quickly. The atmosphere takes on a. There's a bit of a reddish,
Ugh.
pinkish hue through the planet, with some pockets of blue mixed in. The atmosphere is breathable, but there's I don't know something odd there to be sure. Um, as you descend, the visual display momentarily seems to shift the atmosphere and the planet, or like the where the surface is and where the sky is rolls around in the visual. None of you can discern it, of course, because inertial dampeners, but you do take a bit of a note of the oddity. Um, At least you might, Will. Tabak is presently listening to Vopri, who says, Captain, the port authority is signaling. They are asking why we are coming in as hot as we are, and they want to check our flight plan or something of the sort. Let the port authority know that we appreciate their concern. We just need an open berth, and I'll be happy to compensate them appropriately. Tabak turns over to you, Azik. Out of your share.
As you wish, Captain.
So with that, yeah, um, the the Raptor cranes and swoops around in the upper atmosphere, heading over through the night side terminus of the planet, where you find through a sort of mountainous type valley area, you can detect signs of what appears to be a well illuminated camp of sorts, or set of structures, buildings. There is at least like a few areas for a starport, although it's more. I would describe them less as like a tall, concentrated structure like the one you left on Guotacor, and more a series of platforms just above the ground for those vessels that have that type of landing capability. Thankfully, your Raptor is capable of that. For the rest of the area, there seems to be several several buildings, a lot of bright colors around. You would recall at least from your previous, if not visits, woe, at least previous awareness of the location that uh, when it comes to Zethlor, the main outpost is replete with all manners of bars, other facilities, areas where merchants hawk their different wares. Probably a few unsavory sites. There's nominally some elements of colonial governance, but let's face it, this is more a place where, well, this is a relatively private place, let's just say.
I like to imagine Woe left a bit of an impression here.
I don't doubt it. If nothing else, a
Ooh.
few footprint-shaped dents in doors, perhaps.
Yeah, that and a few bombs at slave trading centers. That kind of thing.
Fair, fair enough. Fair enough. So, um, as soon as you sit down, Tabak will activate a ship-wide broadcast. All right, we're prepared to disembark here, and once I settle business with the dockmaster here, I intend on going in to locate. I intend on going in to locate some sort of effort for, or rather, some source of resupply and potentially some site with contracts. I would like. I will not ask people to attend that feel their work is best done on the ship. However, I think a show of force and, or rather, show of strength from our crew will help us in this circumstance and maybe project the right message for what we are trying to do and showcase our crew as in this case. So, in essence, Tabak is going to open it up, or provide the opportunity for anybody that wants to come on the mission to go along. Vopri is obviously abstaining, and I think the initial inclination from your two Klingon supporting characters would be to stay on the ship, or although if anyone wants to take them along, then you are welcome to do so. If they don't want to send their main, that is.
Mm. Uh, Out of character. Would Woe know any particular vendor around these parts? Or would they know any Xin?
There's probably not a lot of Kazin on this planet, if any, but there are probably some vendors that you would recall.
Okay. Wait, on friendly terms, not that I blew them up terms, like, to be clear.
Yeah, there's a few bridges left unburnt.
Okay.
Singed, maybe. Smoke damaged. Burnt?
Oh,
No, of course not.
of course not. The
Not if you got the
gasoline is in
marks.
hand. Oh my god. Okay. I suppose I shall put on some of my fiercest armor and join the captain, even though I don't really want to.
Okay.
Uh, is this the time where me and Crescent are going to be doing our separate shopping?
This would be the best time to do it.
Okay.
I'll go with the captain then.
Um, let's see. Tabak is going to look you over, Traven. Is anyone going with you?
The doctor.
Good. Um, Kresic, be sure to bring him back in one piece. He may yet learn some good cooking. And I do want to try more.
Yes, Captain.
All right. So, I think that at this point, it would make sense to break, since Tabak is taking a group with Woe and Raldar. Traven and Kresic are going together. Let's see. Azik, would you like to go with either group?
Honestly, I think I'm going to stay with the ship and make sure that she stays secure.
All right then. Would you prefer to take along a supporting character or prefer to just hang back on this one?
Yeah, I could take a support character.
Okay, well, you have the choice between Dekoth or Kelsaw. As a reminder, Dekoth is more more security oriented, very marginally, that is, while Kelsaw is more of an engineer.
I'll take Dekoth.
Okay, this does count as an activation for him. So, as a reminder for those who are maybe less familiar with the Star Trek Adventure system, um, when you activate a character in Star Trek Adventures, you get the opportunity to give them or when you are doing that with a supporting character, you get the opportunity to give them a very slight improvement. So it can be generally they can take 1 point in a discipline, 1 point in an attribute, or they may take a talent, value, or focus. Um, in Dekoth's case, it looks like he has one talent and uh, he may have already taken a point in it. He may have already had a point in a attribute. So I'd say that you could assign a point in a particular discipline. You could give him a focus, or you could give him another talent.
Let's bring up security to 4.
All right. So that will count as his activation for the session. And which group would you prefer to head with? Kresic and Traven, or the captain's group?
Let's make sure the captain doesn't get in any trouble.
Acknowledged. So, as Dekoth is suiting up for that, we are going to have one little roll off between the Gorn here.
Nope.
So, in particular, I'm going to ask each of you to roll me a single d20, and we will decide the order of exploration here. Okay. Raldar, it looks like your group and the captain's group are going to go together first. So um, you disembark from all together in the elevator at the that goes through the bottom of the ship, or that rather exits out at the bottom of the ship. The last time you had come through this way, or at least one of the last times, you had probably been about to start some major major chaos with some house guards when they had put a boot on your vessel, but thankfully those days are long past. Tabak nonetheless is looking to head off another similar incident and immediately goes over to the dockmaster's office where, with whatever digitized apparatus he needs to dispense what marks you have on hand, he's starting to very quietly and very quickly pay off the dockmaster as needed. Um, it's a relatively cool night as you step out onto the landing platform through the through the sort of valley that this settlement seems to be located in. You are getting a slight bit of a chilly breeze. Temperatures seem to drop fairly quickly around here. You can only hope that it doesn't get too low, but this area that you're initially stepping out to, um, outside of the illumination of the landing platforms itself and the structures around there, it is dark and it is cool, neither of which feel particularly good for you or the doctor, for that matter.
Uncomfortable, but whatever.
So, after Tabak walks back, he says, all right, I've allocated a portion of what we have to what we got when we went Gleed into for your use, Doctor. Look, just don't splurge. Votos was not he was very marginally generous, but not so much as to resolve all of our woes, as it were.
Tell us what we need to get, Captain. We'll get it.
Well, you and Raldar are going to help me figure out. Suppose first we'll need a sense of what crew's in the area and what crew we can assemble, and more specifically, what types of work we might be able to find out here. It may also be best if we will work somewhat closely together, but we may not. It may free us up a little bit if we are prepared to engage with other people on a somewhat separate basis. Just stay within earshot. Don't let anyone pull you off to a side. There are some chances of unsavory characters here, but nothing that can't be handled if we're careful.
Captain, I recommend we make the ship the rendezvous point and we set a timer, maybe 2 hours.
Agreed, he says, with whatever sort of risk communicator he has, he's going to set something.
If anything should go wrong, we go looking after each other.
Indeed. We'll have everyone try to. I'll make sure to signal Vopri and see if we can keep a lock on our communicators. In the event one of them gets lost, well then we can direct the others to get to that area as quickly as possible, or track as best as we can. That said,
I'm so sorry, Captain. For some reason, I completely lost my ability to hear. So, could you repeat what you just said?
just be smart, and we can have Vopri track our our communication signals from the wrist communicators we have.
Alright. Good to know.
So, with that, you start making the group of you start making your way away from the landing platforms and through a path that takes you kind of through some of the valleys. I'd say the terrain here, there is some like mountainous areas around you, and there are indeed some. If they were within a cave, you would say that it was almost stalagmite-like formations. As it is, these are a bit more weathered. They tend to be narrower, just kind of these large jutting bits of rock, just kind of around the area. Again, whatever precipitation has come into this area has been enough to wear things down quite considerably. So, um, but you eventually do find your way into the main settlement, and through the relative darkness of the outpost, you start finding the assemblage of different buildings among the mountains. Some of them are more tent-like, others are more permanent structures. Um, on the more sort of immediate thoroughfare, I'd say, or like the main path that you find yourselves on, there's probably buildings that are close to like 4 to 5 stories effectively. Others are more, there's a lot of kind of, I would say, tent type setups or like carts. It's kind of a weird marketplace type area, but with all manner of wares from different types of strange alien cuisines down to uh, numerous weapon systems, some recognizable, others not. Um, it's quite the intermix here. The same too could be said of the crew that, or rather, the individuals in the area. There is a large mix of like a lot of Klingons, of course, but also signs of some Noskins in the area, quite a few Orions, half a dozen species. Some of you may not recognize altogether. Probably some that operate well outside of the fringes of the Empire, and I dare say at least a few Traven might recognize. And boy, they probably wouldn't want you seeing them here right about now. At least not so far as, or they might be initially concerned in case the Federation authorities were in the area for whatever reason. Let's see here. Also, I realize this is still stuck here, so let's get everybody properly moved over to this map. I apologize, Roll20 is being a little slow on me this evening. So, there we go. Um, Now, uh, Raldar, as the two of you, and I guess Dakoth as well, um, so as the four of you move through the streets with Tabak at the lead, would there be anything in particular you would want to do or look for right now?
No. I mean, I'm not looking for anything particular. Maybe if there's any good batliff smiths or whatever around.
I'd like to look for. We honestly need more like support in our ship, even though we need spare parts basically, and
Hmm.
I guess a few weapons we might need more of.
No. So, uh, I guess first to double check, Will, I know you came out with as much of the imposing armor as you could. Did you also sling over as many weapons as you could?
That seems a bit excessive. I do want to leave something for people on the ship in case something happens. But definitely a phaser or two. How many do we have? Seems like we only have like 4 or 5.
You actually have disruptors.
Oh, disruptor. Sorry.
That's quite all
Yeah.
right. Yeah. I could just see Woe slinging on the swords, batons, the disruptor rifles, and then picking up one of the pistols and saying, "This is excessive. I'm leaving this behind." But
Just
no.
like a kitchen knife, that's too much. It
Yep.
just puts it down.
No. In accordance to your wishes, you have a couple of the Disruptor pistols. At least one that you got off one of the Nausicaans. Then probably another, either one of the old Disruptor pistols that was on the ship, or one from. I think Calvec had one as well. So you probably could have. You could have an interesting mismatch of weaponry. Either way, it's going to
Okay.
be the same type of hand disruptor.
All right.
Yeah. But so if you're looking for weapons vendors type things, then you could I'd say a security and insight role would probably be in order. If you are
All
looking
right.
for more in the way of parts, then that would be more engineering and insight.
I think we shall start with weapons.
Okay. So I'll say that is enough to help you spot out a few racks of very interesting styles of weaponry. There are, sure enough, signs of some sort of forge at work or something with a fair number of different types of blades. Most you recognize pretty immediately. There's the sort of single-edge, straight Nausicaan-style Tegalar sword. A few Klingon blades that also meet that description. Uh, there are shorter elements that appear to be, you would guess, more of a bayonet type weapon, and there are even some that more resemble sort of a, I'd say, gauntlets that appear to kind of match more of a, like, they're meant to mimic a claw, basically.
I don't think she needs those.
There are also signs of some batleths of what quality you aren't entirely sure, but they do seem to be up. There also appear to be any number of different types of particle weapons, ranging from various sort of aftermarket disruptors of varying types, some Klingon build, others that are maybe more generic or come from other species designs, some of which you don't recognize. Um, Interestingly, there does seem to be at least one set of old-style Andorian plasma rifles.
Oh. Cool. I wanted to get those just because I like Andorians. Okay. Is there? Okay, I sidle up to the merchant stand.
No.
The
The
interesting.
the merchant
Oh, sorry.
coming around. Sorry about that. You are greeted by a very tall, broad Kohak. Hmm.
She looks down at him. Very interesting display you've got there. I fancy a bit of Andorian weaponry myself.
Hmm. Certainly some of the finest you will find on this world, and I can guarantee you the only weapons of these sort that you will locate. I uh, I have personally overseen their restoration. They are just as lethal as they were when they first came into service.
She leans back. What do you want for him?
Oh, that would depend upon how much you have.
How much do I have?
Um, as you eh, as you start comparing prices with the basically with the marks that you've got, this would be a pretty penny and might be prohibitive for other. It would go outside the supply budget. Let's just say.
Oh, a little too rich for my blood, thank you. She closes her eyes. a sad day. What have you got more in the little bit of this price range? And she jingles her little sack of money at this dude.
Um, reviewing reviewing a rough sense of what you're looking for, he kind of scoffs and says, "Scarcely anything worth selling.
All right.
I might have an old crate of salvaged weapons that might be of use."
Oh, I like the way you said that word. Salvaged, huh? How? Salvaged? Junk in space salvaged? Or stolen?
He walks back for a moment and pulls out a crate bearing a well, he pulls out a couple crates. The first one he opens up seems to show signs of what you would guess are well, it's really not so much anything properly arranged as it is just a mismatch of different weapons parts. They mostly would likely be for some sort of disruptors. Some are probably just like other generic particle weaponry. Um, Nothing too special and nothing that's likely functioning. Um, the other panel, or rather, the other box he's carrying seems to bear a familiar marking, that of a certain, a very old style chevron, albeit at a bit of an angle. Um, in script you think might be Terran, but don't immediately recognize. He opens that up, and to their credit, at least the weapons are better arranged there, but there's no telling how long they've been out of use.
She
Some
picks one up and kind of rolls it in her hand.
no
How does this work?
an old earther weapon, basic particle weaponry. They design it with a standard lethal function, I suppose. There is also a lower incapacitation setting if you have some reason not to diminish your prey, or if you have reason to capture as opposed to kill. It seems an ill fit for a Kazinti warrior, and certainly not for a Klingon.
Don't presume to know about me.
Hmm.
Or my crew. She growls and leans a little bit close.
I'll try to stand
She
around as
holds
much as
the
possible.
weapon in her hands. I'll take this off your hands. For half what's in my kitty. It's not worth much more.
He ponders he ponders your offer.
Oh god, did I lose full? I can't
Oh, no,
hear
no, no.
shit.
Can
Hang on.
Okay. Technical difficulties. Oh
Hello?
dear, oh dear. Okay.
Why? Every time.
We can still hear you. I don't.
Oh no. Okay.
So,
Okay.
in any case, he'll think about it and just say, "Doubt I could have gotten a much better price anyway. For that, it can be yours."
Much obliged. Now can you point me in the direction of real weapons? Something for my ship.
Well, there should be some other dealers somewhere around the area. Um, as he's starting to point that out, um, Taybot calls out, "Whoa! Oh, are
Yes,
you?
Captain.
What are you doing with that junk there?"
You'll find there's value in anything. Maybe not that box of bullshit over there, but this definitely. I have some experience with this. She holds up a very specific weapon.
It's the weapon that you're carrying is a it appears to be It's something with something I'd say is fairly close to like a pistol style grip, sort of chrome gray, but with the polishes long since kind of faded. The sort of barrel or like that compartment of the weapon is kind of flat on the underside and a little more rounded with a few very simple buttons. The emitter doesn't seem to be built for anything too fancy, so it's not likely to have any sort of effect of some sort.
She holds it up and she says, "I have enough experience with these to know how painful they are. And sometimes pain alone is better than death in terms of what you can get out of it."
Well, so long as it is coming out of your share in this, then that is do what you will, I suppose.
I mean, that's a given, Captain.
Oh.
She grumbles as she walks towards the other vendor.
Well, before we make too many extravagant purchases here, it might actually behoove us to go and seek some sort of employment here. Of course, that might also be the best avenue for locating other possible crew to contract with. And if there's one thing that my previous dealings have taught me in these type of scenarios, the best place to look is whatever this planet's equivalent is to a local tavern.
Oh, Captain. We're really scraping the bottom of the barrel.
With what we can afford.
Acting as if she was not picked up at her bar.
Yep. With what we can afford, whoa, that's it's honestly something of a luxury at the moment.
Alright, let's go.
So you move off, the group of you move off, and whoa, you have now recovered a very old box of phase pistols.
Because why not? Could come in handy. You don't know.
Yep. So, Tabak will take them into will take you towards the local tavern where I think we'll rejoin more of that in a moment here. While we're doing, before we touch base with them, let's check in real quick with Raldar and, or not Raldar, and with Kresic and Traven, who is moving elsewhere about the encampment. It's a dizzying array of lights, sounds, and just sheer like masses of other people. Um, while you've probably been in some cramped areas in the time since you've been off the ship, Draven, or rather, since you left your old cruise ship, this is probably the most dazzling environment that you've been to in some time. Mood lighting other than red.
All right, where to first? The bar? Find some ladies. I'm sure there's some nice reptilian females or males that would love to hang out with you.
No.
So gambling? We could totally do gambling. I'm sure there's gambling around here.
I pass him a data pad. This is what I require. After procuring the necessary items, you are free to do whatever you wish.
Okay, cool. So that brings me to my second thing. I haven't gotten paid yet.
I have funds. I do have funds, right?
You do have
Captain
some
gave me
resources.
money, right?
Yeah, the captain has given you a not ideal amount of marks relative to what you would want to use, but just what you have to work with.
Yep. Never enough, but
Yep,
enough.
yep. Star Trek Adventures as a system doesn't handle currency, and we don't exactly have a system for it either. So,
Understandable.
yeah, we're just going to say narratively, it's what you've got to work with. Maybe with a bit of haggling, you can get what you need, but there's no way to say. So, Karasik, I guess depending on what you're looking for, this would be an insight roll. I will allow you to determine the um, discipline you would want to use for that. I would also
I'm
like to.
thinking insight medicine because I'm specifically looking for places that would be like pharmacies or things like that where I could buy medical supplies.
Okay. So insight and medicine, and then Traven, you may either also roll insight and medicine, or you may roll insight and command if you don't wish to pay attention to what Kresic is doing.
Gotcha. I'm gonna have to do insight and command. Would my conversation focus be used?
Absolutely.
Awesome sauce.
None of my focuses would apply, correct?
Um, they would not.
Okay. What's the difficulty?
Um,
Let's go.
the difficulty of surviving whatever whatever complication results from this.
Understandable.
Now, in all seriousness, I'll set the difficulty at 1 here, and
Oh,
while you were doing that, Stephen, you did score a success, which is going to be enough for this, partly with the complication there. I am going to ask, though, for the complication, are you taking narrative, threat, or are you giving me threat, or are you buying it off with momentum?
this time I will do narrative.
Okay. So, as Kresic is indeed finding the medical supplies that he needs and starting to discuss things with a very short Uridian gentleman who is rather short even by Uridian standards, who is not used to a large lizard man coming up to him. Um, you take notice of what appears to be a very distraught older gentleman moving about in a hood, seeming to stumble down the way. As he's on the move, there are at least 3 Nausicaans closing around. Hey, you, you think you can go without proper pay? You, you did nothing. You have done nothing for my task. You have only heard what I asked for and rejected it out of hand. Yeah, and we still have a what is the phrase? A finder's fee, perhaps? We're still expecting something here. I cannot and will not. And as this guy continues to back up, he is going to walk into you, Traven, without looking.
Push him behind me.
Okay. You see 3 Nausicaans rounding up on you. You there. Uh, you there, Trill. You will, you let us through, and, maybe we give you cut. Him or what he gives us, we find out.
Okay. Before we talk about cuts and things, I turn to the old man. First off, you don't leave. Stay right here. And I'm gonna turn back to the 3. So what exactly is going on here?
He, the Nausicaan ahead of you stares out and says, he had proposal of work, but it is a foolish task. We weren't interested, but he took something very valuable to us, our time. We expect
Oh,
compensation.
oh my God. This happens all the time. I'm so sorry. I turn around. Uncle Fester, you were supposed to stay on the ship, remember?
What?
I'm so sorry about this. Sometimes he wanders off and says things he's not supposed to say. I'm sure he used an alias of somebody that probably looks like him. I'm so terribly sorry.
What? What?
We're just normal farmers on our way.
What is this Fester? He is no farmer.
No. I promise he is.
You are lying to me. I don't like lies. Not to my face. Not when they insult my intelligence.
No. He's a shapeshifter. I like walk up closely. He's a shapeshifter.
Shapeshifter.
Listen, you can see that I'm a trill, right? I shouldn't be around here. It's a collection of rare races, and we come across and look for other rare races. We're basically a whole crew of it.
And
It's a medical thing.
I am going to drop 2 threat to add on to that complication there. Rare, you say? And he is probably worth more than the fee we want to collect. He'll be coming with us. And they start pulling out knives here. Um, and as the situation rapidly deteriorates, I think that this is going to be the best place to call it for the evening.
Oh, come on! No! Okay.
With as little time as we have, I think that it's best to put this complication-ridden evening to bed for now and break off. So, for those that are catching us on the archive, I hope you enjoyed, and we will be coming back again with more Star Trek Adventures Broken Sword. Um, hope you all rejoin us, and if you ever want to catch the episodes live again, we are at twitch.tv slash GM in the Great Barrier. So feel free to catch us, give the channel a follow, let us know what you like, and yeah, well, see you around next week. That's all for now. So long.